Congratulations on this brand new album. I've had a chance to sit down and listen to it, and it is an absolutely amazing album, so congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
Now, I understand that in the press release, you said that you thought that you'd done something completely unthinkable with this album, something that you thought that you would never be able to achieve, and that is make an album full of hit songs. Tell us a little bit about why you thought that was going to be something that was unachievable in your career.
Well, I was always a spontaneous songwriter. It was always like a little demon sitting on my shoulder singing songs into my ears once in a while. And if I was lucky, they were good songs, and then I could record them. And I could never write on command. I just would do whatever I would do whenever it came spontaneously. So therefore, our records was always changing a lot. And I mean, we would always do what we wanted to do during these years. And as a consequence of that, the record sales would go up and down like a roller coaster, because the records would be very different. And we were very convenient with that. But then when we did Beloved Antichrist, which was a operatic rock musical, 3 hour long. So we had to write a lot of music for certain scenes. And when you have a scene, that means something is going on stage, you need to write music which is suitable for that scene. So if it's a love scene, you need to have some gentle music. If it's a war scene, you need something very dramatic, obviously. And if it's a monologue, introvert monologue, you need music suitable for that. So I had to force myself to learn how to write music in a certain direction. So I had this new skill of that. And after Beloved Antichrist, it just felt totally empty, because that was the last big dream I had left to fulfill musically. So I didn't know what to do. And I had a conversation with Thomas, our singer, about it. And we realized, well, since we always did what we wanted during these years, maybe it could be a challenge to try to give the fans what they want. That could be a challenge. So, because we need a challenge, we need to have the knife against the throat a bit. Otherwise, the band doesn't work well. So we accepted that challenge, and it's very easy also to put yourself on high horses and just say, we're a very artistic band, so we don't need to give the fans what they want, and I would never write a song just to please anybody else. It's easy to say that, but when it really comes to it, are you actually able to do it? It's a legitimate question. Is it really that easy? Just grab the guitar and write a hit song, yeah? That's easy, isn't it? So we thought it was a good challenge, actually, to see if we had those skills, And in the beginning, it was really difficult. It was moving really slow because we weren't used to work that way. But then all of a sudden, the gates just opened, and we wrote staggering 40 songs. I think over 40 songs. They were good songs. I mean, we wrote a lot of crap as well. But over 40 songs, I think we wrote. There were good songs that we would make demos of. I think 34, 35 songs, something like that, were good enough for a record. So all of a sudden, we ended up with material for 3 albums.
Yeah.
So that was quite a surprise. It wasn't what we had expected or planned, but how things usually go with THERION. We don't even know ourselves where it's going to land.
Yeah. So in the songwriting process, how do you find that middle ground between writing a track that you know that the fans are going to like, but also making sure that it's coming from your heart and it means something to you as the songwriter as well?
That's very easy. I feel like I was when I was 15 years old and I was sitting on the bed in my boy room in my parents' home writing my first riffs. Once you write something that you really like, it's like falling in love. You get butterflies in your stomach, like, yeah, this is really good. So, the method is different in how you try to write. Before it would just come spontaneously. Now I'm sitting and trying to write songs in a certain direction. But once you hit the nail, it's the same feeling when you write a good song. I would never, ever record something and release something that I couldn't put my name on, my quality stamp. It has to be something that I like. I mean, the most popular songs by THERION, the hit songs of THERION, I like those songs, obviously. I wrote them, so it's not like I like them less just because they became popular, I mean, Rise of Sodom or Son of the States of Time, which wasn't written by me, but, one of the most popular songs. Lemuria is one of the most popular songs. Birth of Venus. I mean, these are songs that we wrote and recorded because we loved them, and then they just happen to be the most popular songs. And now we try to not copy them, but we try to write more songs that would be popular. But there's no difference in writing Birth of Venus or writing the title track Leviathan. They're just different ways of working. But once you've nailed it, you have to put your quality stamp in, and you need to have your heart in it.
Yeah.
I have absolutely nothing against making commercially. Commercial is not a bad word for me. Commercial means that it's more accessible. It means more people can like it. And Beatles and ABBA are super commercial groups. Yeah, but they're two best-selling bands on the planet. And I love Beatles and ABBA. I adore them. So I have really nothing against music that can be played on the radio or anything. What I care about is that it's good. And, Beatles and ABBA, they were groundbreaking, and they're still, running in circles against anything coming later. I don't like bad quality music, but I don't care if it's a death metal band who can't play and make a demo, or if it's some shit on the radio with some auto-tune, big boom, stupid chick that, can't sing. To me, that's the same. Crack music is crack music. Good music is good music. I don't care if it's metal or if it's pop or whatever it is, as long as it's good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's certain music styles in theory, I could like hip-hop, but so far I haven't heard any good hip-hop songs. Like certain music styles don't appeal to you, but I could still respect somebody for doing a good job, if they're good at what they're doing.
Yeah. One of the things that really hit me with this album was it sounded like when I was listening to it that it has the best of everything that you guys have tried over the years, like different styles, different sounds. This album sounds like it has the best of everything that you and Thomas have tried over the years. Is that something that you were aware of when you were working on this album?
No, we listened to the most popular songs and tried to figure out what's the secret sauce. And then we realized the most popular songs have nothing in common with each other musically. If you go from a music theory analysis perspective, there's like nothing in common with these tracks. So we realized it must be something else, some quintessence, almost on an esoteric level, like something. What is it that made these songs more popular than others? I mean, if you speak about Judas Priest, for instance, when they made Reunion with Rob Halford, they wanted to make a classic-sounding Judas Priest album, so they would go to the sound that they had in the 80s when they were on the top of their career, But with THERION, there was no such thing, because all our records sounded different, and most of the records, also many of the songs could have been written and recorded by different bands because they were so different. So we realized the only thing the most popular songs have in common is the fact that they are the most popular songs. So therefore, there wasn't any specific style we could tune into. It was more rather a matter of trying to tune into the vibe of the songs and try to write new songs in that spirit. So the songs can sound different, but they will still have somehow the same vibe. So I've heard some people saying, "Oh, it sounds like Jelly." No, it sounds like Robin. No, it sounds like Virgil. It sounds like Lemuria and Pharisee. Everybody seems to hear different things. And me personally, I think the title track reminds me a little bit of the Lemuria and Cyrus B era. But besides that song, I can't personally place any song in a certain era. To me, they are new songs, but with a hit song spirit.
Yeah. Putting this album together during a pandemic, how did you go about bringing choirs and everything together to work on this album? Because this year has been such a challenging year for musicians right around the world. How difficult was it to achieve all of those things during a pandemic?
Oh, they decided to shut down the airport, so it wasn't so easy. to do it in the conventional way. I couldn't fly myself out, and I couldn't fly anybody in. And I had just moved to Malta, so it was just me here. So we decided to record the album on distance. So it's actually recorded in 9 different countries, if I remember. It's Malta, Sweden, Germany, UK, Finland, Argentina, USA, Spain, and Israel. So everything was recorded in different places, and you had to look to special conditions in each country. For instance, I wanted to record choir, but here in Malta it was banned to meet more than 3 people at the same time. So that would be me, conductor, and 1 person from the choir. That wouldn't be much of a choir. So I had to see what countries are allowing enough people to gather a choir, and out of these countries, where do I have some contacts, where do I know somebody I trusted to put it together. So by pure luck, there was like a gap in the restrictions in Israel, so we could record choir there. And I was lucky to have somebody there that I trust to take care of it also. So yeah, everything was done completely different. But there were good and bad sides of doing that, because normally I would be very mentally exhausted, and my ears would be exhausted after a recording of X amount of months, because I have to be there all the time. I have to listen to all the bad drum takes until you get the final take, and all the journey trying to get the guitars right, and bass, all the vocalists with their sloppy takes until they nail it, choir, orchestration, and then starting from scratch again, listening to all the drums when you make the drum sound in the mix, and then the whole thing. And once you're done with it, it's a mastering. So once an album is completed, normally I don't want to hear the word studio for another 2 years at least. I mean, everybody else, they just go home, you know, after the drums are nailed, and the drummer is happy, and they go home, and I'm the one staying here all the time. And before we do the album recording, I've been spending months doing pre-production as well, you know, so it's not like I'm fresh when I enter the studio. So this time, I didn't have to hear all the crap takes. I could just, you know, get the final take sent to me as a file. So I was always fresh in ears and mind, which was a refreshing way of working. It was very expensive, though, because normally we would record in my own studio, and I always have different ideas in my mind how I want things to be, and sometimes they are just completely wrong. So if we record in my studio, we may waste 20 minutes or half an hour going in the wrong direction before I would tell the singer, like, sorry, this is not a good direction, sorry for wasting your time, let's try this instead. But this time I would have to send demo tapes with instructions to people, and they would have to book commercial studios. And especially because we would book small, just like a few days here and there. I mean, if you book a commercial studio and say we want 3 months, you obviously get a much better deal than what you say I want 2 days. So since it was scattered with a lot of commercial studios, we paid the premium price all the time. And sometimes a singer would waste half a day or even a full day recording something in a direction that I later would dismiss and say, sorry, you know, this is not what I wanted after all. You need to book the studio again and go back and nail it another time in this style this time. So it was a bit frustrating for the singers, really trying hard to nail something, and then you have to do it again. And very expensive for me, working this way. What can we do? You know, we're the kind of people that a ship would be sinking and we would swim into some uninhabited islands. We wouldn't sit there and feel sorry for ourselves. We would try to build houses and build a civilization. You know, we're that kind of people. So if it's not possible, you know, if we would be stranded on an island, we'd probably start building a new civilization rather than feeling sorry for ourselves. So it's the same thing, you know, if we can't meet up and record, then we just do something else. And Since we realized we wouldn't be able to tour, and we had written so much material, and since I felt fresh after the mix this time, I just said, let's continue, let's record more. So we have already nailed more than half of Leviathan 2, the second album of the trilogy that we decided to do for the vast amount of songs. And once we've mixed Leviathan 2, we're going to nail Leviathan 3. So it's going to be a pretty cool situation to have 2 unreleased albums in our pockets that we can just go out and release whenever it's suitable. So then we can be flexible with the whole touring situation, because last year was the first year since the band was formed in 1987 that the band didn't play any concerts. That was a bit odd. And the only thing everybody is sure of right now is that nobody knows anything. So we don't. Well, we can know pretty sure that we're not going to play any concerts until the summer, and nobody would be crazy enough to try to book it anyway. And we don't know what's going to happen with the summer festivals. There's a small slight chance that there could be festivals after the summer, concerts after the summer, but nobody knows that for sure either. So we might tour in the autumn, or we may not.
Yeah.
And we don't know, next year how it's going to be, in the beginning. Also, you have a pretty odd situation, because it's not just restrictions and the bands can play. You have a whole ecosystem around playing live that has collapsed totally.
Yep.
You have, obviously, concert venues, that will go bust and disappear. But you also have promoters who rent themselves into different venues. You have booking agents. You have the road crew, guitar tech, drum tech, light engineer, sound engineer, monitor engineer, you name it. You have tour managers, and most of these people they are mid-aged. So they have families. They have houses and mortgages. Mortgage they have to pay off their loans, or they're going to lose their house. So they need to find alternative incomes, and that means that a lot of people will leave the scene because they got other jobs, and it's maybe too insecure to give up those jobs and go back to the music business later, because nobody knows how long it's going to last. So at least initially, it's going to be very difficult to find a good road crew. And also tour buses. I mean, it costs a fortune to build a double-decker tour bus. So if those aren't rolling all the time and generate money, they go bust. So it's going to be hard to find a tour bus, hard to find crew. It's going to be less venues. And every band on the fucking planet who made a record is going to try to tour at the same time. So it's going to be absolute jungle around it. So I'm really not sure, if we will be a part of it. We're trying to team up with some other bands, and see if we can share. Instead of doing 2 headline tours, so put it together so we will share the dates. We can maybe share tour bus, share crew, do what we can to make this easier. If that works, we'll probably tour. If it doesn't work, maybe we'll just, stick it out and wait for the dust to settle, because it feels unworthy somehow being part of this chaos. I mean, to me, it's like you have a starving crowd, somebody throwing a bag of potato, and everybody's going to try to climb over each other trying to grab a potato.
Yeah.
I don't know what part of that's really, I mean, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be inspiring and cool. And there's also so many other uncertain aspects, financial ones, for instance. I mean, since the venues lost a lot of money, they are now going to charge arm and a leg to rent it out, because we know everybody wants the venue. That means the price go up there for the promoters, so they're going to pay you less. At the same time, if you have an old wreck of a tour bus that normally nobody would go, they can charge double now, because it's like, you want a tour bus or not? So you're going to have smaller incomes, you're going to have more expenses, and nobody knows if people are going to show up. You're going to be starved for concerts, and let's go and see a concert fund, where people are going to be scared, because authorities did a very good job scaring people. So some people may think they turn into a zombie and die the day after if they go to a concert, because of this virus hysteria. So you should know that better than anybody in Australia. More or less have a police state there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're allowed to print that and make me arrest you or something.
No, that's all fine. Yeah.
Arrest me. Well, shut down your Facebook. Anyway, I mean, it's so many factors involved in this that maybe it's better to just take a step back and see what happens and wait for things to get back up. I mean, the advantage you have as a musician like that, you can do so many different things. For me, it's not a problem if we don't tour in a while because, I'm almost 50 years old. This is my 17th album. We don't go on tour every year anymore. We don't make a record every year and tour every year normally. It's usually a couple of years in between. So for me, it's normal that it takes a few years before we make a tour. So if we have to sit back and not tour Leviathan 1 and we just release Leviathan 2 and we make a tour then instead, or even in worst case, wait and do a tour in Leviathan 3, it's not a really big issue to me because, we will write music, record music, and do other things meanwhile. And also, I'm lucky enough to live in Malta, which is a beautiful microstate in the Mediterranean. So it's not like I'm trapped in some rainy, cold, or snowy Sweden, and with nothing to do. It's, I'm living a good life. So
yeah.
I really don't feel any pressure that you have to go on tour just for the sake of it. There needs to be some sort of quality in the stuff you're doing. And if you can't do it in an quality way, then better not to do it at all.
Definitely. Well, I know we are running out of time very, very quickly, but like I said, this is an absolutely amazing album. So is there anything you would like to say to your Australian fans out there before they go out and grab a copy of Leviathan?
Well, I sincerely want to thank everybody that showed up to the concert we did. It was a long-time dream for me to play Australia, and it took us over 30 years to get to Australia. And it was a series of events that led to it and made it possible because, unfortunately, we're not big enough there that it works for us to go on a regular basis. And I really don't know if we're going to be able to make it there again. So I just want everybody to know that it was a very, very special experience for us being there. And we had absolute thrill in this concert. And the audience was amazing. So thank you so much, everybody who showed up.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for chatting to us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we do get to see you in Australia sometime soon, although I'm very, very envious that you're in Malta at the moment.
Yeah, well, I made a good decision right before. But the weird thing was that we had just moved here, and then came the pandemic, and they shut down the airport. So some people that are here, they're a bit claustrophobic because it's a microstate, it's that big. The island, I live on a small island also, and it's 15 kilometers wide. You can basically walk from one side to the other. And the big island is twice that. So, I mean, if you look on Google Maps and look at the airport, what do you call it, landing strip?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like 1/3 of the island, and that's the big island. So, my girlfriend, she got almost panicked, like, why are we trapped in this little island? But I'm different. I just love it. I think it's cozy, but it's more.
Definitely. Well, mate, thank you so much for chatting to us. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we do get to see you very soon.
Yeah, well, that's a miracle of the devil or something.
All right, mate. I'll let you go. Have a great day. We'll talk soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care, mate.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.